Okay. We are live with yet another episode of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. And we will be starting this in just a few moments here. Just right now trying to get everything ready. Okay, now that everything is all set and ready to go, let's go ahead and get this episode underway. Hello everybody, good afternoon, this is Xenoknight XC6 here, and welcome back to my Let's Play of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. This is part number 40 of this Let's Play series. And so in the last episode, we did the rest of the investigation and we got a pretty good amount of evidence. Thanks to what we got from a couple people, especially Violetta. And of course, we found out a lot of crazy things in the last episode. And let me just say, oh, this is going to be crazy. So in this episode, we are going to be doing the second part of episode 3's trial, and we are about to hopefully get through this episode. So hopefully we'll be able to get done with episode 3 today. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but let's go ahead and get this started. Let's get going. Here we go. We have no time to waste. January 8th, 9:46 a.m., District Court Defendant Lobby number 1. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. Are you okay, Nick?
Huh? Oh, yeah, of course.
I saw that! That little flash of doubt in your eyes!
No! That wasn't doubt. That was, determination.
Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger. Don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you.
Hey, pal!
Oh, and there's Gumshoe.
Hey, Detective Gumshoe! Quit stressing Maggie out! She doesn't need that! How do you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Oh. You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help.
Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too?
Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing.
Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles.
This is a small bottle that turned up in Trieste Vienna's kitchen a couple days ago.
Oh yeah, it was the bottle we found.
Wow, look at all these little bottles.
Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many. They're overflowing onto the floor.
Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others.
Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either.
And it doesn't smell.
Finally got the analysis results back from the lab.
So, what is it? Is it the poison?
I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication.
Medication?
Wait a second. Isn't that the medicine that we were... Hold up. The victim got this from the doctor before going to TSBN. The bag is empty. So that has to be the medication. That has to be the missing medication that we were talking about in the last part of the trial.
Yeah, for years. Topical use only, apparently. For years. You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elk was using for his ruptured eardrum.
What was Glenn Elk's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? Small bottle, the victim's ear medicine, found covered in unidentified fingerprints in the kitchen. What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that?
Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but...
It's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence.
Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today. Got it?
Today's trial. I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done. Or my name is in Phoenix Wright. Alright, here we go. January 8th, 10 a.m., District Court, courtroom number 4. Last time I actually did very well in the first part of episode 3's trial. I almost got everything right. But will that continue in this episode? Let's find out.
Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Byron. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet, the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear.
It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick?
Oh, great. Every time this plays, you know somebody's about to go crazy. Oh my gosh, I don't know why this makes me giggle a bit. Ugh.
Ha. Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it.
Yeah, I'm a bit lost too.
You've lost me already, Mr. Godot. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday's mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you resolve these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand.
I wonder who's going to be first. Is it going to be Juan or is it going to be... Let's see. Is it going to be Juan or is it going to be Furio? I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure who's going to be first. Let's find out who it is. It's Juan Armstrong. Okay, so he's first.
And you are?
Oh, bonjour everyone. I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Tres Bien restaurant. Enchanté!
Forgive me for asking for this, but are you a woman?
Oh la la, monsieur! As you can see, I am le pert and perky gentleman, non?
On the day of the incident, you were in Triesbien's kitchen. Isn't that right?
With you, monsieur. Everything feels right.
Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything imitate this guy?
Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Triesbien.
Oui. Volunteers.
Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness. Depending on what he's going to say and how this is going to play out, I really have no idea how this is all going to play out. But let's see what happens. Here we go. At Triesbien.
When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decors today. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Oh, perhaps this is what the old man was looking at. Look up, the epis and the glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, non?
Mirror?
Oui, un grand mirror. The most enormous mirror.
And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back into front.
What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Okay, before we begin, I'm going to save real quick. And I'll save on the first data too.
And who were the 2 customers exactly?
Yes, of course. The young man who died, and the other, not so young man.
You're referring to yesterday's witness, I presume.
What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table? Something tells me Mr. Armstrong is planning to disclose his existence.
We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we?
I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. You were experimenting with art decoy? How come I never heard about that before today?
You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur.
Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before?
But I did, just a few moments ago.
Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This decoy you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decorture?
No, art deco. It is a style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about interior design. Walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing.
Oh, yes, of course. That deco.
I was trying to achieve a more effeminate look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of l'art décor.
How big of a mirror are we talking about here?
Woof, something about 4 meters wide and about 2 meters high.
Let's see. If 1 meter is about 1 yard, holy glass in a frame! That's huge! That's a first! Holy glass in a frame!
I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually.
The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember.
Yes, no, but I decided not to go through with it in the end.
What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror or not? Let's leave it for a second and hear anything for now. Because I want to kind of first go through what he has to say.
So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror.
Okay, we still got 2 more left.
Normally, I expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object.
Objection!
Normally? How does normality come into this? That's lame, trite, even for you. Huh? Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it is impossible? Is that it? Where does that leave the headed lawyer and the top-knot chick over there? And the ungodly, cruel guy with the mask over here? Well, trite?
Not the hair.
I do not have a top knot.
Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument.
The logic is one day.
Hold it!
Everything? He would have seen everything in reverse?
We...
Hey, Nick, you should take a second to think about what old CD said in his testimony.
How did he phrase it again?
The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup. His left hand.
If he saw everything he described reflected in a mirror, and everything he said he saw on the left was actually on the right, huh?
That clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess. Or does it?
Ha!
It's kind of hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but...
Do you think old CD saw everything through a reflection?
If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony.
But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in that old man's testimony. We just gotta dig deeper.
Okay. We need to question, the mirror. Because I did kind of skip through that. Let's press harder to see what he says about it.
If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Byrett's testimonies.
But...
Objection!
You didn't ask, trite. You have only yourself to blame for such a sloppy work. What? A mirror was delivered to GSBN the day before the incident. Really? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end.
This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to GSBN, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime.
Ha! If you want to doubt someone, trite, look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror.
Okay. I guess we have to use evidence, I guess. Let's see. Oh my goodness. What do I use? Okay, let's see. Where's what the old man was looking at? Oh dear, we're getting lost now. Oh no. Oh no. Let's see. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Wasn't there mirrors? what Victor Kudo said in his testimony.
Hold it!
Didn't Maggie say there was another customer, like a woman?
Objection!
No, I don't think that came into play for that one. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I'm trying to think what it could be.
Objection!
The thing is, I have so much evidence, I'm trying to be careful with what I use. It's kind of hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but do you think OCD saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's got to be something in that old man's testimony. We've just got to dig deeper. Does it have anything to do with the mirror? I mean, maybe the mirror testimony might be something. I just don't know if it's,
Objection! Objection!
Oh my goodness.
Objection!
Oh wait, I think it might be the other testimony, which is, oh wait, perhaps this is what the old man was looking at.
Objection!
Because I don't think he was looking at a mirror.
Objection!
He wouldn't have to be looking at a mirror.
Hold it!
Hold on, let me press him again.
Objection!
It's the same thing, of course.
Objection!
Oh my goodness.
Objection!
Oh my goodness. But he wouldn't have seen the mirror. That's the thing I'm confused of.
Objection!
I figure out, because this has to be wrong. Unless it's a different testimony.
Objection!
Really, I'm trying to figure this out, because I think it had to be this testimony. If this continues and if I have so much problems, I'll look it up and see. Even though I don't like to look it up, but if I continue to get stuck in this, frick. How can I conjure?
Objection!
Oh boy.
Objection!
This is really, really becoming a lot more tougher.
Objection! Objection! Objection!
Okay, you know what? Just for this first one, I'm gonna have to look it up because I'm a little confused. Because I don't know. What I'm doing. Oh, I think I know why. It was the last one, but it was actually a person.
Objection!
It was Glenn. Okay, I should have realized that right off the bat. I thought it was just, oh my goodness. I'm sorry if I had to look it up too, because I didn't want to look it up. But, I didn't want to get stuck in there for like quite a while and not figure out. Oh my goodness. I should have realized that sooner, but I wasn't. I was not even thinking. And this is just only the first part. Oh my goodness. The first part of the second round of the trial. Alright, let's just keep going. I do apologize I had to look it up. It's just, I got a bit stuck, so.
The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we?
The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt.
So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and earpiece were actually on the victim's right side.
Exactly. You see, monsieur, now that you think about it, it's not so hard, no?
Unfortunately, that's where you run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head?
Order, order. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
How bitter. Trite, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee, or something completely different?
You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks?
You remember this, I presume? That I broke the vase, sorry, apology-let. I mean, Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony. Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg?
Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece.
And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and those new Phelan spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Did you hear? His left ear. Well, trite.
That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever. Wait, he was doing an impression? Oh, dang, I should have... Man.
Wow. I really thought he was a little seedy for a minute there. Gudot's good.
Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony.
Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of the contradiction you found is just a rash.
A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears. Oi, I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plans of the restaurant.
The mirror.
Alas, is everything sitting comfortably? La mirror. It was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing these two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. That was the seat and the table next to the victims. That was where the old man was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else.
I see no problem with the explanation we have just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror.
What a naughty little coquette. I am confused all the men like this.
Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out on a cold sweat over there again.
Ugh, I hate that guy.
You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
Volunteers, of course.
Very well. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
Okay. Let's save for a second. And I'm gonna save on the second data for now. So run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct?
Oi.
Oi? Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. It would be in the way.
Look who's talking, Trite.
Huh? You're obstructing my view, among other things.
But, it's my seat in the courtroom!
TriSBN's charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, Trite.
I tell you, monsieur, la mirror was there in the middle of the restaurant.
And where would that be?
Ooh la la! Look how you lean towards me. I always attract the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer. Oh my freaking gosh.
Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once.
I attract the older ones too, you know. Handsome. Should I tease you too? Oh my... Oh my gosh! What in the world? Oh my... My goodness.
I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time.
I bet she has mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume.
Bien, I will tell you. There was only one seat from which you could have seen.
Hold it!
So why can you only see the victim from that particular seat?
Yes, monsieur. It is obvious, non? If you look at the plans, you will understand. The victim would have been reflected in the mirror like so. If you were sitting at the table next to him, you would see everything, non?
So that's the seat old Sadie was sitting in on that day, when the poisoning happened.
The old man was sitting at the table next to the victim? Why does it seem kind of odd? Ooh, that does sound odd indeed, but let's keep pressing it to see what else we can get. Did you move the mirror while Mr. Kudo was off calling the police?
Oui, exactly. And I carried it out of the restaurant the end.
You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself?
What can I say? I know how to pick things up and some...
Dude, that actually laughed at something!
Well, given the witness's physique, I suppose it is possible. Did you move anything else from the crime scene, Mr. Armstrong?
Alexia. Oblying type non.
Hold it!
Are you sure about that?
I touched nothing except the mirror.
Mr. Wright, is there something the witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene?
Yeah, there is. Just can't put my finger on what exactly.
Ha! Suffering from a case of heartburn, Trite.
Oh, I've just a thing for that. An oil with golden myrrh and frankincense.
Add a few drops to your coffee and voila. Enjoy.
Focus, Phoenix! Breathe! I need to ignore those two and just find some evidence. Dang, this trial is going crazy!
It is pretty strange though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You think someone would have, but Maggie didn't. And neither did old Sadie.
Then the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Tria's being that day. I've just got to prove it somehow. Okay, now this is where things are going to get tricky. Finding the evidence.
Objection!
I just hope I don't have to look this up again. photo, okay. It's good thing I clicked on that.
This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor.
The crime photo?
Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist.
What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright?
Should not exist. Ha! Sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite.
Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement.
Oh, great. We gotta save.
What is the something that should not exist in this photo?
Wait, hang on. Something that should not exist. Right here? I'm getting somewhere. I just need to find out which spot. Chair? Oh wait, no. The vase, I think it was. Because Mr. Kudo broke the vase. What am I thinking? Okay, the vase. I think it's pretty obvious that this is what should not be in the picture.
The vase? What possible connection does that have with this witness testimony?
Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should have been no vase on this table. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. As the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection! Don't be an idiot, Wright. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from.
Exactly. There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Trieste Bien that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie.
Mon Dieu!
Objection! Don't try to confuse the court, Wright. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene.
Unfortunately, Mr. Koda, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary in his own words. I did not touch anything else except the mirror.
Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself?
Sniffle. I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day.
In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear in which he couldn't hear? You will be given one shot at life. There's no turning back.
I'm not sure if it's going to lead up to, something, so just in case I'm going to save.
If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem's all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw?
If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it.
Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick?
There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya.
What do you mean?
Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony.
think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up.
Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer.
Alright, here we go.
Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradiction in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple.
Oh, okay, I can save here. Okay. Mr. Kudo made a mistake. The ear doctor made a mistake. The victim was a phony. I think it was the first one. Clearly, Mr. Kudo made a mistake.
Mr. Trite, you're the one who brought up all these contradictions. And if you're trying to tell us the old man just made a mistake, we can wrap up this case right now with a guilty verdict. How about it, Mr. Wright? Should I just declare your client guilty?
Is it the best you can come up with, Nick?
Okay. So that was the wrong answer. So the answer has to be the ear doctor made a mistake and the victim was a phony. Let's go with the ear doctor made a mistake. I believe we're looking at this the wrong way. It was actually the doctor's mistake.
What?
Yes, the doctor got the wrong ear.
Well, I believe we saw an autopsy report yesterday. One that stated the victim's left eardrum was ruptured and had medicine in it. I'm beginning to wonder if it's not your eardrum that's ruptured, Mr. Wright.
This is no time to be playing around with people's perceptions, Nick.
Prescriptions. So the victim was a phony? I thought it was one of these two. Okay, let's hear what it has to say.
This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet there is one very simple answer that clears them all up.
And what is that?
The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events.
What?
Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter. A phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake.
Order in the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you say? Trite, are you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup?
Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poison. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection!
Get real, Trite. Why would anyone want to do that?
Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was...
The serving girl brought him a Javasino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl, right? There in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
It's so hard to believe, but...
There was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Byright in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Objection!
Are you insinuating that the witness in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but... It's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening. That's right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct?
Ooh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Triesvian that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened.
The defense request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events in the restaurant that day.
Oi.
Oh, he's freaking out. In the restaurant.
La victim, Monsieur Elks, came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There was no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Mon Elk became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. No, there was no time for a phony to do the acting.
Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all.
Je vous demande pardon. Forgive me, Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly.
What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later.
Oi.
For now, we will hear your cross-examination, Mr. Wright, if you please.
He took that perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Oh boy, here we go. Let me save real quick on both datas. Excuse me. Was he alone at his table as well?
Yes, oi. I saw him from the kitchen.
Yet the defendant, Miss Byron, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table.
Ha! Unfortunately for you, Trite. Yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. Now, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite.
What kind of coffee has he been drinking?
It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet.
Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct?
Oi, he comes often for my special coffee.
I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special. I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience.
Oh, you make me so happy. Monsieur, you are most welcome any time.
I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more.
So old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. So you're saying that not much time elapsed between when the victim and Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oui, that is correct.
But that still leaves the possibility that something happened in that gap of time. And by your recollection, how much time would you say elapsed?
Let me see. Approximately 2 minutes, I would say.
2 minutes? That's all?
It seems unlikely that anything untoward could have happened in such a short time.
Rats, I knew I shouldn't have pursued this line of questioning. Well, I just wanted to see what happens. So your only customers were Mr. Kudo and the victim.
How many times do you need to ask the same thing, Trite? You'd never catch me drinking the same blend twice.
Huh?
You were trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in the restaurant, but you're wasting your time. You can't grind birdseed to make coffee, if you catch my drift.
But there's a hole in his testimony somewhere. I'm sure of it. Did you see him?
No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, "Yes, $500,000
Presumably the defendant heard that too. Who then, correct?
Maggie? She looked like a poor little frightened dog.
And what about Mr. Kudo?
Loud man choked on some bird seeds. It got stuck in his throat.
It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands.
And what were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill.
I am a multi-talented woman, monsieur.
Sorry? What do you mean?
There is la renowned chef, Jean Armstrong, and la tragic poet, Clarice Armstrong.
Clarice?
Boy, I was writing a poem. An angry tale of a chef in $500,000 of debt, cooking for a man who won $500,000 on a lottery. It is called Poor Croix. It means, why, perhaps I could recite it for la court.
Please don't.
Oh. So, you mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred?
I asked the old man to call from the payphone.
By your own argument, Wright. The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, his opportunity would completely disappeared. Indeed.
Then, it seemed the shadow of doubt has been lifted. Near's pass.
I guess Mr. Armstrong is connected to this case, huh?
Absolutely. Someone was impersonating Mr. Elg, and I refuse to believe he was oblivious. He was there the whole time, after all.
But if you're right, wouldn't Maggie have noticed too?
She fell unconscious when the incident occurred, remember?
You mean that's when the phony stages act?
We'll know for sure once I find a hole in this testimony.
Okay, I wonder what happens when you pick the other option for this one. Let's see. What time was it? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oh, no. I cannot remember, monsieur.
I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man. And sir, does that perhaps jog your memory, witness?
The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., non?
Just after 2, huh?
Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful.
I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of day will be added to the witness' testimony.
Oi, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you.
Merci bien. That's French, isn't it?
I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood.
He's even humming a song to himself.
I remember the old man arrived not long after just after 2 p.m.
Okay, so we got a new testimony added, so that's good. Let's see if we can both doubt us because we've got that. Let's press him for that and see what happens. Are you absolutely sure about the time?
When I think really hard, I am sure it was just after 2, eh? It's the time I stopped serving the lunch menu.
Quite right. I always break for lunch when the restaurants are serving their specials. I've been known to wind up a case early just to make it on time. Ha ha!
I guess you should never get between a hungry judge and his lunch.
Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already.
Witness, get on with your testimony, please. Let's look back at the autopsy report. Died of potassium cyanide poisoning. Time of death was between 1:30 to 2:30. Oh, I thought it was gonna be the autopsy. Oh my goodness, okay. Oh, it was the lottery thing, okay. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong.
Quoi? What do you mean?
At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket.
Quoi? That must be the show mon Elg was listening to.
Can't see any problem with his testimony, Mr. Wright.
I wonder... You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct?
Oi. I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was the time because I just finished serving the lunch menu.
Get to the point, Wright. If you have one.
That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m., and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life.
It's on the air at 1:30.
Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time.
No!
The victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a raptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over. There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. The victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elks in Tresbian that day. The real Glen Elk, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer, and the phony Glen Elk acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection!
Quite a performance, Wright. You were almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song.
What is this? Music Theory 101?
Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Elks performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Glen Elk is?
I don't believe I have to spill this out for the court. However... at that time, the real Glen Elk was already dead.
That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Objection!
Thank you, Trite. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours? Can you explain where the missing corpse went to?
The missing corpse?
According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. That customer was the phony Glen Elk. Then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body?
Yes, Your Honor.
No conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden.
Evidence?
What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden?
I thought I had him with the contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead.
Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence.
Oh boy, here we go with this.
First, where was the body of the real Mr. Glenn and concealed?
Okay. Let's see. Outside Tresbian or inside Tresbian? I'm trying to think here. Clearly, there's no place to hide a body inside Tresbian. Therefore, the killer must have hauled the body outside.
I see. Nice supposition. The the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was taken out of the restaurant? I don't think you'll ever grasp the real heart of rock and roll.
What are you talking about?
Feel the beat and then hit him with
Some heavy metal.
It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside TSBN. Interesting. Where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed.
Was it underneath the table?
The body was hidden here. I see. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location?
I'm not going to save on the second data just in case if something were to go wrong. Maybe behind here? And the evidence is... Okay. I think just for this particular one, I'm gonna have to look this up. Only for this one here. And I'm sorry if I have to keep looking up. I just really don't want to get like stuck in this like... I need to know which one I got right. Okay, inside TSBN. Okay, I got that right. Okay, it was the kitchen, not under the table. think I'll save in the first data. Okay. Alright, now I see what I did wrong. So I was right about inside TriSBN, and it was in the kitchen, not under the table. Because I thought it was under the table, and it looks like it had to pinpoint with the small bottle. Okay, that explains it. Okay, sorry if I had to look it up again, but I just didn't want to... I just didn't want to get stuck there for such a long time and not figure it out. And go like, oh no, what do I do? Yeah, I'm sorry if I had to keep looking it up. Easy. But sometimes if I get stuck on something, I sometimes want to look it. I sometimes have to look it up because I'm like, what do I do? What am I doing wrong? All right, I was right about inside TriSBN. That I got right the second time, but it was under the table. Not under the table. It was in the kitchen, not under the table. Because I thought he might have hid the culprit might have hid it under the table, which is probably why I came up with that theory. But it was the kitchen, not the table. And it was the bottle thing.
Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle?
No. I've never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The exist quality only for me.
Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of TriSBN.
Eh? Quoi? But I only ever use the bottles for my aromatherapy oils.
But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elk visited an otolaryngological client, clinic, and was given medication that day.
Sorry if I'm pronouncing that word wrong.
You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elk. Glenn Elk's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen?
Diel.
Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hit the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Byron. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back.
No!
Order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elk?
Never! I could not do such an horrible thing.
No! Mr. Godot! For bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules.
Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now?
Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my defiant friend?
Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It's a trap. Listen to me. Por favor.
Yo hablo español. Mr. Armstrong and por favor Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it?
No. Absolutely not.
Let's hear it. You've got one shot, right, Gramps? Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you, as does my gavel.
Oi, it is clear.
What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this.
Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong.
The confession.
true. I hid the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me.
You were forced? By who?
I cannot say, or I will be erased.
Let's try a different question, then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table?
There was. There was another man.
I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth.
We cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright.
There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. Oh boy. Now we gotta have him say who the killer is.
Did you carry the body by yourself?
I carried him, and I carried Maggie too.
Maggie too?
When she saw the victim collapse, she fainted. I could not leave her there.
Why did you hide the bodies? What man? Who was he?
No, I cannot say. I fear for my life.
He's really scared.
You'll just have to put the words in his mouth, Nick.
Yeah, you're right. If he won't tell me, I'll tell him. But why would you go along with this man? And what reason would that be, Mr. Armstrong?
You know, monsieur.
Yes?
Surely you cannot expect a young maiden to talk about such an embarrassment.
A maiden? You're a bit old to get away with that.
And a bit too male.
I can't finish the cross-examination without establishing his reason. So I'll just have to prove it with evidence. So you are claiming that all you did was hide the bodies. Is that correct?
Oi, that's right.
We are to believe you, Mr. Armstrong. You must tell the court everything. You must make clear the identity of the man who ordered you to do this.
He's already confessed this much. He might as well stop dancing around the real issue.
Yeah, but he really doesn't want to tell us who the killer is.
Then sock it to him, Nick.
Yeah, but it's not a bad idea. A man forced me to do which I had no choice. Was it Jean's loan contract?
Objection!
Oh, it was.
You have a $500,000 debt, don't you? $500,000 debt? $500,000? Is this true, Mr. Armstrong?
Oi, Jesus does true. I was weak, and I borrowed the money.
This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man.
Take that!
A $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you.
Oi, it is as you say.
Mr. Armstrong.
La Tiger. He told me it was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On that day in question, he was meeting the victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to. I had no choice. I carried the body in the inconstant Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen.
I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tiger. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. Poison in the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well?
No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable.
Mr. Godot, you will summon that Abyss Furio Tiger as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. 30 minutes. What? The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy off the stand. Not a minute more. How the... Don't sit back and relax yet, trite. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go on. Could still go either way. Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tiger is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess.
Oh boy. My goodness gracious. So we got through that pretty well, and I'm going to leave the third data untouched because... I'm just going to leave it untouched, because I think there was, I believe, one more trophy from what I've heard. There's one more trophy in this chapter. So I'm going to leave the third data untouched for now. January 8th, 1:21 p.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby number 1.
So we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand. You've almost got this case won now, Nick.
I wish I could agree.
Huh?
When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now, he said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. But Godot picked up on it, remember? He pointed out that without proof, we don't know if what he testified is the truth.
You mean, you think Mr. Armstrong was lying?
I don't know, but if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble.
I get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence we're going to need.
Hey, pal! Detective Gumshoe!
What are you so jumpy about, Detective? Your hair's standing on end.
Hey, that's the pot calling the kettle! Hey, that's the pot calling the kettle black, little Miss Topknot!
It's not a top knot.
Never mind about the hair. Just calm down, alright? I can't stand still when I don't have a job to do. I kinda get wound up. Ugh!
No kidding.
You gotta have something you need me to do, pal. Anything! Well, hey, I'm gonna take a jog back down to the precinct. I could get some prints analyzed for you if you've got an hour.
An hour? Trial will have reconvened by then.
But Nick, we still don't have a really decisive piece of evidence, right?
True. Without some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag, we're really stuck. You said you could get some fingerprints analyzed done in an hour.
You bet.
In that case, would you mind checking the prints on this for me? Oh, I didn't expect this. Wait, the cyanide?
Take that!
What are you doing, Nick? If Detective Gumshoe is going to check some prints for us, shouldn't he be checking this?
Oh. Okay, I screwed up there. I'm just gonna reload and try again. I thought it was gonna be the potassium poison thing or something like that. That's why I kind of figured at first. I should have saved just in case if that was gonna be the case, but I didn't know. Okay.
Take that!
If you're going back to the station anyway, could you find out whose prints are on these?
Oh, hey, that's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, right?
Yeah, I think it's time we solve the last mystery of who the prints on it belong to.
Sure thing, pal. Actually, that's been gnawing at me, too.
Small bottle given to Detective Gumshoe.
Okay, I'll get this off to the lab right away. Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back.
This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess.
It's time to separate the phonies from the real guys.
January 8th, 1:56 p.m., District Court, Courtroom number 4.
Court will now reconvene. Mr. Godot, did you find this Furio Tiger. I even tamed him for you. It was a free cup job, no problem.
Tamed him? The guy's name may be Fury Tiger, but come on.
He's pretty lively. Be careful. He still bites. Very well. Please show Mr. Tiger. Please show Mr. Tiger to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the...
Don't hide under the table, Maya. Unless there's room for me to down there too.
Would you mind?
What you say to me?
Nothing. I didn't say nothing. Honest.
Who could have guessed that the fear would include a bad Brooklyn accent in the judge?
I got business to take care of. You hear me? So who the hell called me into this hole? Was it you, Spiky?
No, of course not. It was the judge. Your Honor.
Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. We're on our visit. Don't mind me, just carry on with the proceedings as normal.
That's it. We're doomed.
Maybe you didn't hear me. I said who the hell was it that called me in here?
There's no need to shout. We can all hear you.
What you say?
There's no point in struggling. You're caught in a sneer. The relentless sneer of the law. And I'm the one that hauled you in.
Too cool.
Don't let him get the better of you, Nick.
Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct?
Incident? I don't know nothing about no stinking incident, mask boy.
You mean you didn't attend the previous trial of Maggie Byron?
Maggie who? I've got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas.
Of course. Well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then. Please tell us about what you did on the day of the murder.
Phoenix Wright. You's the one who set this up, didn't you? You's gonna regret that day you ruffled a tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying?
Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today. Oh my goodness. Poor Phoenix.
Get a grip, Nick.
I agree. Get a grip. The tiger's alibi. All right. I'm not sure how tough this one's gonna be because I had a bit of a problem with Armstrong. Let's see how the tiger will be.
I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with business in December last year. Spent all my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from tender lender every single day. If you want to check my alibi, just ask via letter.
Oh, he's back on his seat.
Oh, at last I found my pen. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Your cross-examination, please. What is it? Please, witness, if you could refrain from shouting out like that.
I know the kind of games the guy in the blue plays. That lowlife ain't no lawyer. He just punches away at stupid details till he wins.
Lowlife?
Me? Listen up, Smarty. Every time you ask me something that doesn't relate to this case, I'm gonna bill you $50,000. And you's gonna borrow the cash from me.
That's one loan contract I refuse to sign.
And don't think it ain't gonna hurt when you tangled with the tiger.
I love a good spectator sport. Just a minute. It's really not. This witness is, how can I put it, a hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Get on his bad side and he'll bite everyone's heads off. Yours too. Very well. I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here.
You's better be listening. I said I got business to take care of. Big business. If I don't split now, I ain't gonna catch my bus.
The court will impose a penalty for any irrelevant pressing of witness testimony. Keep that in mind as you begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor.
You can do it, Nick.
Come out from under there already. Would you, Maya? So we're gonna get a penalty for... You can't be serious. We're gonna get a penalty for every time we press him. Oh, come on.
Hold it!
I don't buy that you haven't even heard of the incident that occurred at GSBN.
You's got a big mouth, right? You was trying to say I was on some mob hit? Is that what you trying to say? Where's your proof then?
Evidence, yes. Well,
For an attorney to make an accusation in court, he must have evidence. That's from loan shark to lawyer. A beginner's guide, yeah.
oh, I see. You're the studious Mr. Tiger. Very good. Ha. Why don't you ask him to represent you sometime, Trite?
Grr, what should I do? Let's just leave it for now. It's too dangerous to press things without knowing where they might end up. I better just focus on gathering information at the moment.
Now then, Mr. Tiger, would you mind repeating your testimony from the beginning, please?
My time ain't free, you hear? You's better remember that. If I miss that bus, someone's gonna pay.
Hold it!
Are you sure about that? We're talking about 1 month ago, you know.
You see these teeth? That's how sharp my sanctuary is.
Sharp?
He's talking about Viola Cadavarini?
She writes everything in my schedule. December, mainly in the office. It's what it says, so that's where I was.
That seems like a rather sketchy schedule.
Gah.
Here he goes again. What if a tiger did all December isn't the issue? What's important is what was he doing on the day of the murder. So now what?
Hold it!
So I take it you get a lot of customers at your black market loan office.
It's tough for the little guys these days. Small businesses are feeling the pinch. Bosses of companies like that want to get in good with me. I'm their best friend.
I see. That's very admirable of you, witness.
Yeah, well, Tenderlander's motto is win through compromise, you know.
Win through compromise. What is that supposed to mean?
Compromise the customer to win. That's what it means. You's got it.
With best friends like you? Who needs enemies?
Here, let me spit it out for yous all. Don't pay me back within 3 days, Spiky. I take what's due and your stupid hair. Yous follow what I'm saying.
But I'm not one of your customers. Should I ask more about Tenderlander or not? I'm a little nervous of what's gonna happen if I do something wrong. I'm just first gonna press him normally, and then we'll see what happens.
Hold it!
By Violetta, you're talking about the Cadavarini families.
Yeah, you don't want to cross them, or you's gonna wind up sleeping with the fishes. Once the Godfather finds out who's been dragging Violetta through the mud, he'll do you in.
Sorry, I couldn't quite put it all together towards the end there.
He said it just like Viola, didn't he?
Get the feeling this might not be the right time to probe him about her.
Just think, all you have to do is press him on something irrelevant and BAM! $50,000!
Get real, Maya. How about you pay back the money then? Your allowance should cover it.
Hey, I'm not an idiot, you know.
Well, I'm certainly not the one who thought the $50,000 was free money.
Anyway, I need to work this guy without pressing his testimony too hard.
But his testimony is pretty solid as it is.
I admit nothing jumps out at me as a contradiction. But I've got to find an opening somewhere, or I need to make one. Okay. I'm gonna save just in case for this one. Let's talk to him more about Tenderlander first.
Mr. Tiger,
What do you want?
If you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail.
Objection!
This is a dead end, Wright, and you know it. Remember the rules. Pressing the witness without evidence to back up your attack is prohibited.
Okay, so it wasn't that one. Okay, so let's see. You just want to check my alibi? Just ask Violetta. It had to be this one, I think.
Mr. Tiger,
What do you want?
if you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail.
Objection! Objection!
No! It's essential that we establish a witness's alibi accurately. I agree. The victim was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day too?
Maybe yous ain't listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats wanted to do business with me. I never seen that young kid before.
I do believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Godard, if you could please. Mr. Tiger, the court asked you to add that last testimony to your last statement. Mr. Tiger, the court asked you to add that last statement to your testimony.
Don't let an animal beat you. Be a man, Your Honor, and ask him yourself.
The day he was talking about, I was in the office too. I never saw that kid before.
Oh, really? Really now? Well, maybe you wouldn't mind if we show you this?
Objection!
Mr. Tiger, you claim you didn't know Mr. Glenn Elk, but it appears that Mr. Elk knew you.
What?
Mr. Elk left this little note on his calendar. Meet with the Tiger, and the date, December 3rd. December 3rd? That's the day of the murder. So, Mr. Tiger, I submit that you did indeed know one Mr. Glenn Elk, because on the very day of the incident, you met with him.
Not bad. He was actually not bad.
Sorry?
I was just messing with you to see how good you were.
Did you hear that, Nick? He said you're not bad.
That's one compliment I can do without. Plus, he's lying through his teeth.
Witness, please remember that you're under oath. Lies will not be tolerated.
You's calling me a liar? Is that what you're doing?
So you're saying that your claim to have never seen that kid before is the truth?
I said I'm dead serious. You's better believe that's the truth.
Ha! Then I'd say that gives me time to enjoy another cup of pure black magic. That is, while you testify for the court again, Mr. Tiger. Oh yes, would you mind indulging the court witness?
He never actually met the victim? That's gotta be a lie right there. It's time I nailed this guy. The victim, Glenn Elg. Let's hear what he has to say.
I ain't no liar. I never met Glenn Elk. There was some lame guy with that name, though. Wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office, Tender Lender. I waited around for him, but he ain't ever show. I ain't never even been to that 3SBN joint. You's here?
Oh, I see. That all seems perfectly logical. You had arranged to meet with the victim, but he didn't show up. I've heard it pretty hard to keep appointments when you're dead. Very well, you may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
Didn't I tell you I got a big deal going down today? I ain't gonna make my boss now. I'm gonna have to take the express train. That bill's going straight to you, right?
Okay.
Hold it!
And yet, your name was written on the victim's calendar.
Get that horse calendar out of my face. I'm the tiger, not a lame horse, you porcupine. Tigers like me ate horses like that for practice.
No, no, no. Witnesses aren't permitted to eat evidence. Not that they ever would. Well, there was a case once where a young lad ate.
Anyway, if you had never met the victim before, how do you explain this note he left?
Hold it!
That's very strange. According to the manager of the farm where the victim worked, December 3rd was the date he had to repay his loan. He wasn't due to discuss borrowing money, but repaying what he owed.
Oh, yeah, maybe he was right. Whatever it was going down at the beginning of December.
So you did meet Mr. Elk then?
Hey, right, yous might want to cool your jet a sec.
Hold it!
So your meeting wasn't supposed to be at TriSBN then?
Why would I want to go to the dump like that? If I want to talk with my client, I got an office decked out for the job. I got the best punching bag yous ever saw in there.
Not exactly a professional office you've got there, you know. So you were in your office on the day in question.
Hold it!
He didn't show up?
Ha! What do you think, Wright? Let's see. How does a dead man get from a French restaurant to a loan shark's office?
And you yourself didn't go to TriSBN.
What are you trying to pin on me? Yeah. Why don't you come down to my office? We can chat about this thing my way, yeah? I got the best punching bag yous ever saw in there.
No need. I'm good, thanks.
Listen up. I ain't got nothing more to say except this.
Hold it!
Never? Not even once?
Not even once. I was in my office a day that went down. I didn't put no poison in no kid's coffee, capiche?
Do you think he really didn't meet Glenn Elk?
Not likely. Because I'm convinced this guy's behind the whole thing.
So you mean that whole testimony he just gave was a lie?
Of course. So we can't afford to give him time to think of ways to plug the leaks in it. I've got to nail him while I still can. Wasn't it the TriSBN matches? Matches is for advertising found lying in tender lender.
Objection!
Oh, I'm on a roll right now. How come I'm on a roll with this one and not the last part? Oh my goodness. How come how come right now I'm on a roll in this one than I was in Armstrong's? What the heck? Mr. Tiger, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches?
Matches? What yous talking about?
We found them in your office at Tender Lender. They're from that restaurant.
What?
If you've really never been to TriSBN before, what was a book of the restaurant matches doing on your desk?
You've been snooping around in my stuff now too, wise guy. What are you, my ball and chain? Ain't no broad controlling me.
Order, order. Well, witness, I think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? Sorry, I'm terribly sorry. Forgive me.
I ain't no pussycat. I don't go back on what I say. But okay, I was at the joint that day.
What?
But listen good, alright? I might have been there, but I still never met that kid.
Well, well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony.
I'm this close to proving it was him. He did meet Glenn Elk that day, and he did put poison in his coffee. He must have. At TriSBN.
I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw an ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cops' sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office.
I see. You didn't actually meet with him in the end, then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Hold it! If I wait around here any longer, I ain't even gonna make the normal express. No more stupid questions.
Ha! No problem. Anytime Tribe presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see he pays a penalty. Mr. Godot! That's my job! Your job is to slam that little hammer of yours and call a guilty verdict. So do it! Yes, sir.
The Special Express ain't cheap, right? Just so you know, since yours paying.
Oh man, doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here? Okay, now I'm gonna be careful. If I press him even once, do I get like points? Or do I press harder? I'm not quite sure.
Well, Nick, what do you think?
He's running out of ways to avoid the truth. I need to press him fast before he has time to think these things through. Got to come right back at him with a contradiction.
Be careful what you press him on, though, or you'll get penalized, okay?
Hold it!
So the meeting wasn't due to take place at Tenderlander at all, then?
The kid was making a fuss about coming into the office. He's always that way when I want to talk about repayments. Even though I got the best punching bag you've ever seen, if there are any issues.
Maybe it's because of the punching bag that people are scared to come. So that's why you decided to meet a tree at the end.
Ha! You're going over old ground again, Trite.
Sorry.
You just earned yourself a penalty. Suck it down. You will suck down the penalty, Mr. Wright, and you will like it.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? May I have another? Okay, so it wasn't that one. Let's see. We got this one, this one, and that one. Let's click on the last one. You weren't straight back. You went straight back. Did a bout of guilt suddenly hit you for what you did?
What you's trying to say? You trying to tell me you ain't never been guilty of nothing?
We all have our crosses to bear. We all have to swallow the dark secrets we hide. Like this.
The courtroom's not exactly the place to talk about dark secrets, is it?
It seems you've done it again, Mr. Wright. Another irrelevant line of questioning. Suppose a penalty of quitting.
How about a penalty for those two jokers and the garbage they keep coming up with? Oh my goodness. Alright, so it wasn't the last one. Alright, so we got 3 testimonies left, which are, I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. Let's try the middle.
You mean you saw Glenn Elk's dead body? I guess I did, but I only saw him from behind. He was wearing some raggy bit of cloth he'd called a hat.
What time was this?
I don't know. Huh? You know what winds me up more than anything else in the world? Watches. Round watches. I ain't gonna pollute my paws with some ticking henpecker.
I think that's how you say it, henpecker.
Out of interest, Mr. Tiger, what winds you up the second place?
Huh? What do you think? Square watches.
Is this guy for real?
All I needed to know was that something bad was going down in that place.
Okay, so we didn't get a penalty for that one, okay. So this one didn't give us a penalty. Alright, so that's good. So that means it's gonna be between this one and this one. I'm gonna go with this one. See what happens if I press this one.
An ugly scene? What do you mean?
Objection.
The witness has already told us, Trite, which makes that question irrelevant.
But
I limit myself to 17 cups of coffee during a trial. That's the rule. You better limit the number of times you take a penalty, Trite. Or your guts will look like the inside of a chimney. Ashen. Don't make me burn you again, Mr. Wright.
I guess I shouldn't have pressed him on that.
Guess I'm gonna make that special express after all.
So to recap, this ugly scene you saw was...
Okay.
Hold it.
Alright, so we know that we didn't get okay, we didn't get penalized for that. So the only one left, and I'll save because we didn't get penalized for that one. So the only thing left is I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split.
So you didn't actually step foot inside the restaurant then?
The tiger is a busy cat. I don't hang around for no one. I ain't got time to be caught up in no murder investigation.
So,
When exactly did you pick up the matches?
there are matches just inside the front door. Our detective friend would have been in trouble with the chef about after taking 5 books home.
Poor Gumshoe. It's almost enough to make a man cry. Okay, so we didn't get press on any of these. So that means it has to be one of these, I think. Well, let me save again real quick.
Objection.
What if it has something to do with the lottery thing or something?
Objection.
I was doing so well up until...
Objection.
I was doing so well up until we got to this point.
Hold it. Objection. Hold it. Objection.
Oh my goodness.
Objection.
I need to figure out... Oh my goodness. Do I have to keep pressing him or something?
Objection!
But did he really get away that fast? Or...
Objection! Objection!
Oh my goodness, what can I contradict him? Or do we have to press him on something?
Objection!
Oh my goodness. I really have... Oh my... Because I've already pressed him so many times. A little bit here. Alright, just to save the trouble, I'll just... I hate that I have to look this up, but I'm gonna have to, because I'm kind of stuck. Because I've already pressed him so many times. I'm already using... It's gotta be something. I still have to think it's one of these two, things, which are this and that. So it's gotta be one of them. Okay. It was this. But it was the Trias BM floor plans.
Objection!
Yeah, that was it. Okay, so it was one of those two statements, but it was actually that one. And I had to go with the Trias BM floor plans for that one. Again, I do apologize. I keep looking this up. I'm just having some trouble in this trial. Well, not much trouble in the second part. Not much trouble in this other half of the trial for round 2. But, oh my goodness.
You're something of a loan collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tiger?
No one escapes the tiger's clutches.
Well, I'm something of a lie-detecting pro. And no one escapes the Phoenix clutches. I think it's time we got something straight. What's this, Trite? A new line of irrelevant questioning. These are the floor plans of the crime scene. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tiger. From there, you fled.
Oh, that's why. I should have realized it. It was that. I was not thinking straight. He couldn't even see it because of the thing. That's why I forgot. I keep forgetting about those wall things. Ugh.
From there, your field of vision would have covered an area something like this. Indeed, the witness would have had a clear view of the victim's seat.
Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head.
Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you'll remember that between each of the tables is a tall partition. Why, that's true. Now look at the plans again. The truth is playfully obvious. From the entrance, the field of vision of any customer walking in ends here.
Well, we got him there. Oh my goodness.
So, from the entrance of Trias Bien, you couldn't have seen the victim's seat. But you did see the victim that day because you met with him.
Objection!
Wrong. Have you forgotten the old man's testimony yesterday? The victim was alone at his table.
Objection!
But the defense just proved that point to be moot. The victim witnessed by Mr. Kudo was not Glenn Elk, but a fake. What? In order to have Mr. Kudo falsely testify, the real killer posed as the victim he had just killed and acted out a charade. That will do. This trial has gone on long enough without the obvious question being answered. Who exactly was this real killer who impersonated the victim? You say the killer murdered Glenn Elk, and he impersonated his victim in a performance for Victor Kudo. In that case, Mr. Wright, reveal the identity of his criminal to the court.
Take that!
Obviously, the killer is Fury Tiger. No one else could have done it. But what? Well, witness.
Now that's cute. You think you can pin this on the tiger? Maybe you don't understand. The tiger is king of the jungle. So I tell you to say it again. Come on. You've got the guts.
You can't threaten me, Mr. Tiger. It's the defense. Go ahead and tell the witness, Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright!
Sounds to me like it must be you, old man. You've got guts. I'll give you that.
Mr. Wright, do not leave me to handle this alone. Perhaps I can end this embarrassment. Mr. Godot! Let's just go back over Mr. Kudo's testimony one more time. The old man didn't see just the victim. Oh, no.
The serving girl brought him a Javasino, but she put something in it. There's no question about it. She's very conspicuously put some white powder in there.
Was the victim he saw the real victim or not? That doesn't matter. The fact remains he saw the accused put the poison into the coffee. Yes, it was the waitress who poisoned the coffee. Very impressive, Mr. Godot. Waiting for my absence to launch your attack. Ha! Found your pen at last, Trite. It was in my pocket. But anyway, Mr. Kudo witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim, the supposed Mr. Glenn Elk, and the waitress from behind. Yes, your point, Mr. Wright. I think the conclusion is obvious. If this Glenn Elk was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible the waitress was also part of the show. What? You mean the waitress was an imposter as well?
The defendant, Miss Byron, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her.
Who on earth was it?
I think we already know who it is.
Who was this waitress that Mr. Kudo witnessed?
It had to be Viola.
Who is this woman?
Her name is Viola Cardaverini. She's an employee of Tender Lender.
You're making a big mistake. Do you know who Violetta's grandfather is? You better be going home in an armored truck tonight, if you know what I mean.
Stop shaking, Nick.
Where was I? Yes, the defendant, Miss Byron, has stated the following.
Well, when I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it's true there was another customer in the restaurant. She was sort of creepy, and she had a kind of cackling laugh.
There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table was Abel, who nobody but Miss Byron seems to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when that eardrum was ruptured. And the radio show he was supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There's only one logical explanation that clears up all of these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice. Once for real, and once for show. And Mr. Fury Tiger, the only person who have committed the crime, is you!
Witness? What have you got to say?
That's cute.
Sorry?
You're alright. I could do with a guy like you around.
What do you mean?
Okay, I'm in on this game. I'm gonna have to charter a jet to get me to my meeting now, but I'm gonna give you one more thing to think about before I go.
Something to think about?
Okay, we're gonna save here. Because we're this close to the end, we really gotta try to get through this.
You's got it all wrapped up nice, alright? But you's missed out one real important thing.
But that can't be!
I was in the joint that day, and I met that kid too. But I couldn't have poisoned him, you's here.
What? Do you really expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tiger?
Ha! What a troublemaker.
Troublemaker?
Looks like we're going to need another one for the road. One more steaming cup of hot testimony.
Okay, so this is the last round. Okay, we're on to the last round. Okay. If we can get through this one, and if we can have the trump card ready that Gumshoe is still working on, we should have this in the bag.
Indeed. Witness, you will explain yourself to the court. I will give you one more chance to testify. What happened that day at Tria's BM between yourself and the victim?
Ties to the victim.
Yeah, I loaned El cash, but $100,000. That day, we was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Yes, I won $500,000. Got lucky, you know. Real lucky. If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would have been over.
Now, I see that the principal amount you loaned to Mr. Elk was $50,000.
Yeah, well, you's got the vague to take into account. Interest builds up fast, you know.
That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal.
And the repayment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question.
Yeah, he was one lucky kid. He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't have no reason to kill the kid. And if I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case.
His motive? He has to have one, but what is it? Okay, we now need to figure out his motive. Once we figure that out, it should be over.
Hold it!
Did he have any way of paying the loan back? The fool was a gambler. He said he couldn't give it up till he landed a big win, so I agreed to help him.
Help him? You?
I kept hitting him with ideas for ways he could got big win, but the guy kept losing.
So you were helping him for his sake, or yours?
Win through compromise. Yous help me, I help yous. What's the difference, huh?
I don't believe this.
Nick, would anyone really ever loan money to someone they thought was unreliable? Like, for example, if it were you, I only loan you $5 max.
Thanks a lot, Maya.
Hold it!
So how much were you expecting him to pay you back on that day?
What do you think? The whole package. $100,000, including interest.
That's a real heavyweight punch.
Once a client misses our repayment, you call the whole loan in. You wanna make it in my world? That's all you's gotta know.
And how many times had Mr. Elk been late with his repayments?
Once.
And how much was he supposed to pay back every month?
$50.
Sounds like Mr. Elk was in a real sticky spot.
Yeah, at $50 a month, he'd never pay that huge loan off.
Hold it!
How much did he have left on his debt?
You want it in round figures? About $100,000.
That's the whole amount.
We're talking about a guy who had 58 cents in his wallet.
What? You telling me he wasn't even gonna pay for the coffee?
He certainly seems to have been a brave man, this Mr. Elk.
That guy was smooth, I tell yous. Real smooth. You'll have your money in less than 5 minutes. That's what he says to me. The guy then calls me the tender tiger. He was skating on thin ice with me.
Hold it!
Was that because he...
The guy won the lottery. It was his last chance at a big win.
You can confirm that this is the ticket in question.
That's it.
Millionaire radio show starts at 1:30 p.m. and runs for 10 minutes. That fixes the time you two met with some accuracy.
The whole scene was acted out again 30 minutes later. Also that Mr. Kudo would see it.
I can still see the kid's face now. I ain't never gonna forget it.
Hold it!
Was there anyone else in the restaurant at the time?
I don't remember.
If there was no one there, I'll wear that ridiculous tiger shirt for a month. Mr. Armstrong, Maggie, and if I'm right, Viola Cadaverini were all there at that time.
So the victim had intended to repay you from his lottery winnings from the beginning.
Seems that way to me.
But you wouldn't normally expect to win the lottery, would you? Ha! The undying belief that your next roll will end the worst losing streak you ever had. That's what defines a true gambler.
He makes it sound so cool.
Don't be tempted, Nick. You haven't gotten the willpower for it.
All I know is the kid took a shot and he got lucky in the end.
Hold it!
The waitress?
You mean the girl with the glasses in the defendant's chair? Who else could I mean? If she had gotten away, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, over and done with.
Maybe I should push a little on this. Ask about Maggie, ask how things would have been.
What do you mean things would have been over and done with?
Are you all there or what? I'm talking about the cash. I was there to get my $100,000 back. That's all. I'm a businessman. It was all coming together before that waitress got in the way.
As far as I can tell from the witness testimony, other than occupying his loan, Mr. Tiger had no motive for killing the victim. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect what you just said.
Tiger's motive, huh?
I was after the $100,000. I didn't have no other reason to kill the guy.
Hold it!
Are you saying you had no other motives that day?
Yeah, so what?
Then, Why didn't you take the lottery ticket when you left?
Why do you think? Because of Four Eyes over there.
Because of Maggie.
How about you go ask Four Eyes about that $500,000 ticket? She wanted it so bad. She poisoned Elk's coffee.
A likely theory. Your word hasn't held water lightly, Mr. Tiger.
Objection.
Let's not forget this witness was actually at the scene, Trite.
The law don't exactly agree with some of the deals I sent down. I couldn't be there when the cops showed up, so I split.
I see. Your Honor. The witness's last few statements are worth a good 2 cups of coffee. Well, Mr. Wright, are you happy with the testimony, or would you like it amended?
Ooh, this is gonna be tricky. Let's leave it for a second.
So the Tiger was meeting Glenn Elk to get his money back. If Mr. Elk had just given him the lottery ticket, that would have been the end of it.
Yeah. So what's the Tiger's motive?
This is the big one. If I don't manage to undermine this testimony, it's all over for us.
Why would he have to poison Mr. Elk? And why did he loan him the money in the first place, when he knew he couldn't repay him?
Maybe it has to do something with the virus, saying the MC bomber.
Objection.
It does! Oh my goodness! I was just thinking it had to be something to do with the MC bomber thing.
So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. Elk owed you, correct?
I loaned the guy the cash, so that's my right.
Unfortunately for Mr. Elk, I don't believe the $100,000 is what you were really after.
Objection.
What are you getting at, Trent? What else would a moneylender be after other than money? Oh, the moneylender was after money, but money in a totally different league. The kind of money that a single disc like this would fetch. What is that? A computer virus, Euro. A virus called MC Bomber. A computer virus? What does one of those do? A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the inside of the computer. A computer? What does one of those do?
I guess the beard isn't the only part of his honor that is from the Stone Age.
I'll explain it to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this is the important point. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $million on the black market. Several $1 million? Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But in this case, the very fact that Glenn Elk had no way to repay the money is crucial. What? Glenn Elk was a programmer, a highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elk put up in order to borrow the money.
Objection.
You're trying to suggest the witness' motive was to get hold of that program? Exactly. The witness may have poor fashion sense, but he is by no means an idiot, right? A man like him could get his hands on $1 million without resorting to murder. Of course he could, provided that he had time. But what if he had needed the money right then? When the pressure's on, the luxury of choice tends to disappear. It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share it with us? Why did Mr. Tiger need money to the tune of $1 million?
Viola's medical papers.
In December of last year, you found yourself in need of a huge amount of money. About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter, in which a young woman was injured. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery. How Mocha this do you know? How much of this do you know?
But it said Mocha. I think it says how much. My goodness.
These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, Her operation cost $1 million. And yet, when the payment was due last month, you somehow managed to pay it in full.
$1 million? A preposterous sum. Someone should sue these HMOs.
Ha! No one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital will end up as dead as a mortgage. But Mr. Tiger had no choice but to pay, because his very life depended on it.
Order. You say his life depended on it, Mr. Wright?
Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadavarini.
Did you say Cadavarini?
Bruto Cadavarini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadavarini. Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? Makes sense. You were desperate to acquire the $1 million Bruto Cadavarini demanded of you. So desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glenn Elk's life to pay your debt. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tiger's sole intention was to get his hands on this CD. Glenn Elk had no way of paying back the $100,000, and Mr. Tiger knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tiger would prefer to say never happened, but he can't, and neither can I.
The lottery win.
Exactly. At the 11th hour, Mr. Elk won $500,000 on the lottery, which left Mr. Tiger with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least, no legitimate way. So he resorted to illegitimate means.
That's crazy.
He murdered Glenn Elk and then made his next move, to frame Maggie Byritt for the crime. Mr. Tiger opposes Glenn Elk, while Violetta Cadavarini played the role of Miss Byritt. Then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kuda.
Objection.
Like I said, Wright, that's crazy. No one could pull off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the chef could have been kept in the dark about it.
But Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godot? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money too. $500,000, in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tiger's plan.
Order. Silence or I will clear the courtroom.
Okay, let me save real quick because things are now going to start getting ugly. Oh, come on, Gumshoe, bring back that bottle.
Yous put on a good show, Spiky. If yous want to stay alive in the loan shark business, you gotta be careful. You saying I dressed up like that kid, created a witness, and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt. I ain't dumb enough to do something sloppy like that.
I agree.
You do?
Despite your appearance, you are very careful. That's why you took one more precaution. One more trick to make sure Miss Byron had no way out.
What? Another one, Mr. Wright. Interesting.
Why don't you fill us all in, Trite? What was that this trick you say, Mr. Tiger, performed to frame the accused?
Take that!
And what's the relevance of that, Trite?
It's just a little intro.
An intro into what? It seems all this has been an elaborate trick on the part of the defense.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna save on this part. One more trick. Oh, now I get it. It wasn't the, It has to be the potassium now at this point. I think. Oh. What was this trick you say Mr. Tiger performed to frame the accused? Take that! Oh, it was! Okay.
What on earth is that? What an insult to think anyone could be fooled by such a childish imitation.
Consider yourself insulted, Your Honor.
Mr. Tiger, you didn't just pose as the victim on the day in question. A month ago, in this very court, you posed as me.
What? That's
the truth.
But the witness looks nothing like you, Mr. Wright. Although, now that I think about it, it was you, wasn't it? No doubt it was you, standing in here, this very court, a mere month ago. But Phoenix Wright put up the most disreputable, shabby defense I have ever seen. Disreputable, shabby defense I had ever seen.
Objection!
Can you prove that, Gramps?
Prove the attorney who represented the accused here a month ago was with this man. Are you prepared to take the stand and testify that it was him? Hey, forget about it, yeah? I wouldn't do something like that. Not me. You made a mistake, right? It was someone else, huh? Have you no pride, sir?
Objection!
This isn't a matter of pride. In case you didn't know, Trite, here in court, we deal with people's lives. Mr. Godot is right.
Your Honor!
Speaking for myself, I am absolutely convinced the attorney in question was the witness standing before me now. However, I preside over this court as the judge, with the vested power to hand down a verdict. Someone in my position cannot be swayed by a memory without evidence to support it.
No!
If the defense has no further evidence, the court will now excuse the witness. The circumstances surrounding Mr. Tiger are dubious for sure, but not conclusive.
But we've come so far.
You say he impersonated Glenn Elk. You say he impersonated you. But none of that adds up to a murder charge. You don't have a shred of evidence that the witness poisoned the victim's coffee. Ha! Sucks to be you, right? Don't mess with the tiger, or you're gonna get mauled. Who's got that?
All we managed to do here was chase him around a bit. But I was so close to getting him to admit his own guilt.
Ha! Looks like I won't be needing a refill.
If I just had one more piece of evidence, and maybe I could get Maggie off the hook.
This witness cross-examination is over. You are free to go, Mr. Tiger. Your Honor, sir. Wait! Detective Gumshoe! Sorry it took so long, pal. I stacked everything on this, my badge, the works. So here it is. My heart's counting on this too. What is it, Detective? Isn't it obvious, pal? It's the final decisive piece of evidence. What?
January 8th, 2:48 p.m., District Court Defendant Lobby Number 1.
Sorry it took so long, pal, but I finally got the results from the lab.
The results?
About the prints, pal, from this medicine bottle.
Oh, so do you know who the prints belong to now?
Do you think I'm some kind of hack detective? Of course I know.
So tell us. They're the tigers, right? I knew it!
You bet. Clear as crystal, all over the bottle. The Fiore tiger's paw prints are alright.
That's great! We've got him now, Nick. What's wrong with you? You've hardly said a word since Detective Gumshoe got here. He's laid everything on the line for this, Nick.
I know. Look, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to say, but it really doesn't make any difference whose prints are on the bottle now.
Huh? What? Why not?
What we need to produce at this stage in the trial is irrefutable evidence that the tiger put poison in Glenn Elk's coffee. He's already admitted that he met the victim. The fact that his prints are on this bottle really doesn't make any difference now.
I knew it. Great. No matter how hard I tried, I'm never of any use.
Hey, don't be so hard on yourself.
This was our last chance to help Maggie. I've been working on some useless piece of evidence the whole time. It's alright. I'm a real loser. It's not breaking news to me, pal.
Detective Gumshoe.
Maggie!
You've been working on something for me?
Sorry I let you down, Maggie. I know you didn't do it. I'm a detective. We're supposed to be able to prove stuff like that. I'm really sorry. I'll get you out of your hair now.
Detective Gumshoe, wait! He's gone.
Isn't there anything we can do now, Nick?
I wish there was. Gumshoe worked so hard to get that evidence. If only there was some way I could use it. The victim's ear medicine covered in Fiore's tiger's fingerprints. January 8th, 3:04 p.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 4.
Mr. Wright.
Okay, we gotta save on this part. If only we can find out how we can use it in some way.
Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
I granted you a recess so you could prepare this decisive evidence you've discovered.
Yes.
Don't keep us all in suspense, Trite. Show us. Naturally. We can assume it's evidence that will actually stand up in court, can't we?
Fake Phoenix. Don't let Gumshoe's hard work go to waste.
How much more of my time are yous gonna waste? I ain't been to no court before. But yous lawyers sure know how to blow things out of proportion.
No doubt, given the nature of the evidence, it will speak for itself. Nevertheless, you will talk us through it, Mr. Wright.
I know I can't prove anything new with this evidence. I'm really backed into a corner here. But maybe if he thinks he's got me beat, he'll let his guard down a bit.
Don't keep us waiting any longer, Mr. Wright. Present this final, decisive piece of evidence to the court.
This is the defense's final piece of evidence.
Isn't that the victims?
Your Honor, naturally, the court is already aware of the contents of this bottle. However, interesting new information has come to light. We have clearly identified some fingerprints on it. Fingerprints belonging to you, Mr. Tiger. What?
That's right. What conclusion are you hoping to draw from this new information?
Everyone here knows what this bottle contains. Except one man. One person in his courtroom should theoretically be in the dark. There is one person. I believe I know who it is.
My prints are on that fancy-looking bottle? Is that what you saying? Well, what the hell's in it anyway?
A phony trial, a phony lawyer, and phony clues. Everything about this case has been phony. Seems like the perfect excuse for some phony evidence. Mr. Tiger, this is the decisive piece of evidence that will prove your guilt.
Why?
because it contains... As we all know, this bottle contains Glenn's element...
What are you doing, Nick?
Screwed up there. Okay, so we gotta fight back with phony evidence. Potassium cyanide? This bottle contains potassium cyanide.
Potassium cyanide?
The poison used to murder Mr. Elk, Your Honor. The victim's killer used this very bottle. And on this bottle, Mr. Tiger, we found your fingerprints. Well, how do you explain that?
You'd make a good clown, you know that.
What?
Yous ain't never gonna get this stick. You's just making me laugh now. You'd think a cheap bluff like that's gonna fool the tiger.
A bluff?
I can see straight through you, Phoenix Wright. That ain't the bottle with the cyanide in it.
No, this is the bottle we found traces of the poison in.
Don't mess with the tiger, or you're gonna get ripped to shreds. The cyanide bottle was brown, and it was made of glass. That cheap piece of trash. Don't look nothing like it.
You just fell for the trap! Got him! At last!
What? Why has everyone gone quiet? I said that bottle.
Is this the bottle you're referring to?
Yeah, that's it. That's the bottle the cyanide was in. But yous ain't gonna find my prints on that bottle. Don't let that cozy-looking suit fool you people. That lawyer's just playing games. Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell that guy where to go.
You still haven't figured it out? Don't you realize what you just said?
What I said? What did I just say?
You were summoned to this court for the first time earlier today. If you really had nothing to do with the murder, you shouldn't have known all the little details. For instance, you shouldn't have known what kind of bottle the potassium cyanide was in. But just now you slipped up in front of every single person in this courtroom. You described the exact bottle used by the killer to hold the poison.
Yous don't know who yous messing with. I'm the tiger. I control millions of dollars on the black market. Yous think I'm gonna let some jump-up suit get the better of me?
Sure, the last piece of evidence was phony. But that's just what you deserve. A phony trial with a phony lawyer. It was all played out by you. The biggest phony of all. Ooh. Oh. He broke the lights. Oh dear.
What's going on?
It looks like a blackout.
Well done, Trite.
I've saved my 17th cup of coffee just for you. Savor it. While you watch the police restrain your prey.
Mr. Wright, you caught a tiger by his toe, but if this one hollers, he won't be let go. Now then, how are things going with Mr. Tiger, Mr. Godot?
He is being arrested on suspicion of the murder of Glenn Elg, Your Honor.
Fortunately for us, we managed to recidify a very grave error. Miss Pirate was found guilty in the absence of a genuine defense attorney.
Yes, she was.
And in the absence of genuine evidence, the tiger made one mistake. Indeed. He very nearly got away with it, and
know if it wasn't for that one slip of the tongue. Fiore Tiger is a truly frightening criminal. Ha! A truly frightened one is that defense attorney over there.
Go, Dot.
Well, I am now in a position to deliver my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Maggie Byron.
Yay! Yay!
That is all. This court is adjourned.
Yes! We got through another trial! January 8th, 4:10 p.m., District Court Defendant Lobby number 1. Mr. Wright, I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Maggie!
I was so mad when Mr. Wright landed me in all that trouble a month ago. But now I feel like I can forgive him.
Hey, that wasn't me, Maggie. That was the tiger.
Look, Nick! In the doorway.
Detective Gumshoe.
Oh, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around, pal.
Wait! Detective Gumshoe.
Oh yeah. Congratulations, Maggie.
Let me save real quick, because I don't know if I'm going to be... Because I think I still got that lunch thing that Gumshoe had, right? Let me see. Yeah, I think I gotta give it to Maggie.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Maggie.
Thanks.
I knew you were innocent all along.
Why didn't you say that in your testimony then?
Huh? Oh, well, Well, guess I'll be heading off then. See you around.
Wait up, detective! Just ran off.
Maggie, why are you being so hard on him? He busted his butt for you. It's thanks to him that we got the medication bottle.
That wasn't even of any use. But it's only because Mr. Wright used it so cleverly. Detective Gumshoe was just running around in circles. Poor guy.
Looks like she still isn't ready to forgive him.
Can't you put in a good word for him, Nick?
Yeah, Maya's right. I should help Gumshoe out. It's clear he needs it.
Maggie, you know, Detective Gumshoe's been really worried about you through all this.
I wanted to believe that, sir. But on that first day of the trial, he practically gave the judge a free pass to lock me up.
He didn't have any choice, Maggie. He's a detective. He has to report the facts.
He doubted me. That's why. He thought I might have done it. I've got to prove to her that Gumshoe really cares about her. I know. I'll give her a little present to celebrate her freedom.
Take that!
Here you are. A present to celebrate your freedom.
That's...
A present from Detective Gumshoe. Made with a ton of love.
He said you lost weight and he was worried about you.
Detective Gumshoe? I actually really liked weenies. You know?
Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty hungry myself, you know.
Yeah, the trial dragged on a bit today, didn't it?
Is it okay if I eat this now? So, how is it, Maggie?
It's really good. So the case of phony virus genuine comes to an end. The false allegations surrounding Maggie have all been cleared up. And who knows? Maybe a whole new chapter of her life is about to start. Episode 3, Recipe for Turnabout. The end. Episode 4, Turnabout Beginnings. Oh, it's Edgeworth! So that means we get to play as Miles Edgeworth in the next episode! I think. Saving contents. Okay. let's go ahead and save on datas 1 and 2. I'm not going to save it on free because I don't know if I'm going to need it for later. Wait. Trial? We're entering a trial already? The girl. Let her go. Well, let's see what happens here, and then we're going to wrap up the episode. What's going on here? Shut up. Come closer and I kill her. Sorry, but you're not going to get the chance. Reading for the file of an old court case. It was the first case of my longtime mentor, Mia Fey. Name Terry follows. Charge kidnapping, murder, sentence death penalty. Fugitive motives. After escaping, Falls met with and then murders Sergeant Valerie Hartforn, recaptured on Mountain about 8 hours after his escape. Her very first client was a death row inmate who had recently broken out of prison. That was a whole year before Mia and I ever met. Six years earlier, Mia Fey first trial. Oh, so we're playing as Mia again! Okay, but we're gonna stop here. Wow. So, first of all, I can't believe... Oh man, this is gonna be an interesting episode. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be an interesting episode. Alright, so... Secondly, alright. Oh my goodness, we've finally come to an end of the third episode of Trials and Tribulations. And oh my goodness. Tiger just made a big mistake. And it's sort of crazy how that one slip-up costed him the entire trial. And once again, Maggie Byron is innocent, which that is great. Because now we did it. Episode 3 is completed. Episode 3 was a crazy episode. That was probably one of the most craziest episodes in Trials and Tribulations. And it really is crazy knowing that we've got for that episode pretty good. And I really have no idea what's going to happen in the next episode when we do episode 4, Turnabout Beginnings. I really am excited to see how this is going to play out. I don't know how Edgeworth's going to play out in this particular episode, because in the title of the episode, it shows... Let me go back here again. It shows that Miles Edgeworth's in the front. So, is this like when he was starting to begin his journey for being a prosecutor or something? Or something like that. I'm not quite sure. But I think Mia faces off against Miles? I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. But, yeah, it's going to be a really crazy episode. Oh my goodness. But, oh my goodness. I know I had to look up a few times to check out what the evidence were in the trial. I do apologize, I had to look it up, but I was just lost and I just couldn't figure it out. I was so lost. But, yeah, now we have reached the end of the third episode of Trials and Tribulations. I think we only got a couple more episodes left, so that means we should be getting closer to the end of this Let's Play series, actually, because we're actually nearing the end very soon. I think we only got a couple more episodes left, I think, of Trials and Tribulations. So we're about halfway through to the end of Trials and Tribulations now at this point. I just don't know what's going to happen in the next episode, so I really have no idea. But it seems that once again we're going to be playing as Mia Fey in the 4th episode of Trials and Tribulations. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but it's probably going to be one very interesting episode. And it looks like things are now going to start getting a bit crazy. But this is going to be exciting. I really can't wait to see what's going to happen. But anyway, as much as I do want to continue, I believe this is the perfect time to wrap up today's episode of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. So I believe I'm going to wrap up this episode right here. So guys, that is going to be it for part 40 of my Let's Play of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this episode as much as I have. And in the next episode, we are going to be starting episode 4 of Trials and Tribulations, entitled Turnabout Beginnings. And we're going to see how that episode plays out as we are getting straight into the trial, which is going to be very interesting. So you guys do not want to miss what's going to happen on the next part of my Let's Play of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. And I guess that's all from me. So until next time, this is Xenonite XC6. Hope you guys have a great day. I will see you guys in part 41 of my Let's Play of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, where we will be starting episode 4 of Trials and Tribulations. And I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, farewell and have a good day.